Classical art forms are like vast oceans. A dip in its pristine waters, and you will be swimming in it till eternity. It's a work of a lifetime, and for some, many lifetimes. Have you ever watched a beautiful performance and wondered what must be going in to be able to perform at that level of excellence? Clearly, we all know the response is Riyaaz. Do you think the word Riyaaz can be confined to the word practice? To me, it has way more connotations and references. Don't you wish they told you what exactly they do when they say, "Hum Riyaaz karte hain"? Well, these are the questions that intrigued me, and I decided to get some answers. Not to keep them with me, but to share with the world at large the vision of these artists, their secrets. Hence the series
राज रियाज का।
I know that there is a certain pedagogical shift that you are trying to make with your students. I have seen your class with your students multiple times. I have been in your workshop, and I know there is a certain way you look at teaching Katthak, and it's not really Katthak in the sense of Katthak, you are just giving your life experience to the training. So now the Riyaaz I have to divide in two parts. One is what you do as a personal Riyaaz, which is for your own self, and what is it that you make your students do as a training. And I think it will benefit many people because there are many students and there are many dancers.
So when someone says you're a gifted dancer, what do you mean? What is a gift? Gift क्या होता है? You know, so and because I was not a natural dancer, but still stuck with it, and there were so many beautiful dancers who used to drop out like, you know, popcorn, literally. Such beautiful, beautiful dancers. We thought that this would be the next, you know, dance star of Katthak, and 9th, 10th standard they would be out of the class. So what makes you stick? And the answer is only and only Riyaaz. And how do I define Riyaaz and how do I define a gift? I think we all have only one gift. All of us as human beings have only one gift, and that's the gift of our attention. What are you attending to? How are you attending? We are in a world in which everyone's stealing away our attention. A silly device is stealing away our attention. There are, what are they called? Those algorithms on how attention spans change, and people are making money of our attention.
True.
And what does Riyaaz do? Riyaaz makes you attend to your inner being, not just your body, but your subtle body, and your connection to something larger. Riyaaz helps you plug in. And consistent Riyaaz makes you sharpen your muscle of attention, because attention is a muscle and most of us don't have it in this world, because we are constantly dilly-dallying, you know, moving from part to part. So just grounding your feet. Now my full attention is right now on my feet. Immediately I'll feel a sense of relief. Try it. Put your feet on the floor and just plug into the earth. See what's happening, what's changing in your body. Your spine starts moving. There is these little subtle movements happening in your spine. Then you soft focus your eyes at a point in front of you. Just keep one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and then suddenly you're attending to your breath. I think Riyaaz needs to be a healing technique. It is many times made out to be a battering technique in which you batter your body. That's not Riyaaz. You know, I feel in Riyaaz, and that's why I spoke about the compassionate gaze, you have to be super compassionate when you do Riyaaz, super compassionate to your body, to your present state, and your consciousness. And as soon as that alignment happens, something shifts and then that muscle can be honed and honed and honed. I think that whole
I'm still
question.
digesting the idea of attention being a muscle. I think it's like one wow moment for me, because suddenly you have something that you can work on. It becomes, you've made it tangible. From an intangible idea, you've made it tangible.
Yeah, and it's related to physicality. It's related to how you place your body. There are ways of attending. Now you're sitting like this, and we do it naturally, you know. In school, if you see children in a classroom, they're sitting like this, and they're sitting like this, they're sitting like this. What is this? This is your body shifting itself to receive the class, or sometimes receive something else, or receive your friend's conversation or whatever. But your body is constantly readjusting itself to be in conversation with the world. And what Riyaz teaches you to look at how those little shifts happen. And then you can tweak those shifts on your own. And so that's why I think one more thing I would like to speak about is the aura. Like all of us have a certain aura. Children, oh my god, they're like light bulbs. You look at their eyes and the room lights up when a child walks into the room. What happens then? Where does it go? We all have it, but we don't know how to plug in. Like how children attend. Like look, you know, a baby will be here and the baby will be looking at this Buddha, and not even at the Buddha, he'll be looking at the third eye of the Buddha, and then suddenly the bell will ring and the attention goes. It's so clean. Then what happens is, because we have so many impulses as we grow up, our mind just fogs. And it's not a bad thing, it's an inevitable thing. All of us have points where we are completely clogged.
But that's
So
where the Riyaz comes in, where you train your mind to kind of bring it back.
Yeah.
But if I have to ask you, like really tangible hands-on tools, would you be able to offer, at least especially for the younger students or young
Absolutely.
dancers?
Because everyone thinks of Riyaz as a body practice. Since we're talking about dance, it's a body-centered practice, but it's how you attend to the body, not just attending to the body. Of course, in the first, that's why it's like at different stages in your dance learning, your Riyaz will also be different.
Absolutely.
In the beginning, sometimes you have to, you know, like my impetus when I was a young person doing Riyaz, and I used to love doing Riyaz, was to take on the challenge and not, you know, be impressive for my teacher, that see how much I'm practicing, and then you see I'm sweating so much and you feel so good about yourself, you know, and you still feel that adrenaline rush of dancing for a complete 2 hours. Then slowly, like when I went to contemporary dance school, it became about my spine. Like how many of us have conversations with our spine, like how's your spine feeling right now?
Charged because of all the conversation. I'm like fully.
Yeah, but just see, is there any part of your spine that wants to move differently? Does it want to open out a little differently? Because one thing I love from Navtej's classes, he used to say, come as you are. You know, people say, oh, now I'm like a classical dancer, so I have to stand like this. And sometimes standing like this means you're like holding things.
Clamping.
So you have to release. You have to first release, you have to allow yourself to open, you have to allow the ears to open, you have to allow the senses to open. And then the body can be, so the preparing for the Riyaz is as important as the Riyaz itself. You can't, like when we were kids, we used to directly start with footwork, and most kids can, because their bodies are, especially adult learners and adult beginners, I would say, you cannot throw them into direct footwork and dance practice without learning to prepare your body. So preparation of the body is one of my main things. I tell my students, I don't mind if you all do only the warm up and not the Riyaz, but
I know,
learn
that's
how
what
to
you
prepare.
said the other day, like you brought them, they did a nice extensive warm up, and then you went into other aspects like the Lehra. I think that's, you want to share some of those things?
Yeah, so Riyaz is also learning how to listen. And one thing about Katthak Riyaz I would like to say is it's about staying with the time cycle. And that is just precious, because the time, what is the time cycle, you know? We wake up in the morning, we sleep at night, the sun rises and sets, the earth goes around the sun, then the moon goes around the earth. So we are cycles are a part of our life. But when we consciously ride cycles, the cycle becomes imprinted in our bodies. So one of my students, Abhay, he has a place in Bhimtal. So he had gone to spend a vacation in Bhimtal, and he had a young friend, Aditya, who used to come to class. And Aditya put 2 and 2 together, because we used to dance Teen Tal. So he's like, Miss, please excuse Abhay from class today because he has gone to Teen Tal. So I said, I hope he remains there.
Like he has to just remain in Tinta.
I was like, I hope all of us can go to Teen Tal someday. So just like Teen Tal becoming a part of you, that 16 beats, and it's not just a metrical beat, you know, it's a beat which is like, I always explain Tal with the example of a half-filled bottle. Is the bottle half full or empty? So there's a beautiful idea, khali bhari, and moving towards emptiness and moving towards the void. So in every cycle, you move towards the void and then you come back towards the full, and you move towards the void and you come back towards the full. So it's not just it's a moving towards death and rebirth, you know, it's literally, and life is about that. You have to leave versions of yourself behind, you know. As much as you love your 20-year-old self, I can't dance like the 20-year-old Sanjukta. So you leave that behind, you let that go. So it's about losing that clench, you know. Sometimes you love something so much that you hold on to it, but it's about loosening the grip. Because one thing I know about Riyaaz is that I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. And every day that I walk into that studio, I have to start from point zero and see where my body is, and the practice emerges from there.
And I remember vividly the other day you asked one of your students what is Riyaaz, and she said the same thing, of finding something new. It was such a beautiful moment, like a child has figured it out. She knows that this is what it is, of discovering, of this is all what you've spoken about, right?
Yeah. But children know it. This is something that's very natural to us, and then we feel like a practice has to be regimented and a practice has to be rigorous. You have to be productive. You have to wake up in the morning and do Riyaaz 6 to 8. Sometimes your body is just not up to it. You know, sometimes you need to first just sit and breathe and then dance. Especially now, I think post-COVID my Riyaaz practice has completely changed because we have gone through a period of collective grief, Prachi. The planet has like gotten churned, like that whole idea of we went so near death as a collective human race, and we have come out of it. Are we the same?
Absolutely not.
We should not be. And there are some people who are gravitating towards earlier versions of us and clenching and saying, oh, we will go back to pre-COVID. You cannot. And in fact, you have to be more compassionate, more empathetic. And I think you cannot be empathetic and compassionate to others if it doesn't start from here. So you have to first be compassionate to your present body. I'm also talking as someone who's had lots of injuries. So I had an ACL tear on my knee, I had a shoulder injury. So I have been also learning to do Riyaaz in ways that suits my body.
Yeah.
I remember
starting with compassion with your knee.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at what you can find and the depths you can go to, because suddenly when your lower body is absent, your riyaz in the upper body can reach crazy depths. So people talk about disability, but I think it's a different ability. I remember when I was in the UK and I toured with the academy, and we went to this Stockton festival, and it was a street festival with lots of people performing at different street corners. And I went to one street corner and there was a paraplegic dancer who was doing a duet with like this tall ballerina with like her legs and very elegant, and then they were doing some contact improv on the floor. I remember sitting there on that footpath and weeping. I wept because everything that I had internalized about what a dancer's body should look like, about what a dancer should do, just went down the drain. And it was the most sublime thing I had ever seen. So for us to be truly a community, we need to be compassionate and not hierarchical. And the word correct should kind of be thrown out of the window. One thing I would like to say is there are many people who think Riyaz is a body discipline, and so I have to like throw away everything and have to just focus on the body. That is one kind of Riyaz. But I think if your heart is not in the Riyaz,
It's mindless.
yeah, it's not truly Riyaz. It is a kind of Riyaz. You are teaching your body a habit.
We also have days. We have those
Yeah.
days, and we should allow that.
Yeah, we should also be compassionate to the days when you are totally blank and your body just wants to dance and like get on with it. That those are also there. But post COVID, one thing is I learned how to teach dance during COVID. Because before that I wanted to complete a syllabus or make a student achieve a perfect toda. But in COVID, I said all that gets thrown out of the window. Everyone's going through their crazy things. I just want them to leave with a smile on their face and a shine in their eyes. So I used to do really entertaining classes, really compassionate classes in which we used to have mood charts. So everyone, there were colors ascribed to moods. So happy was yellow, angry was red, sad was blue, calm was green, and they had to bring one object from their house and show, what their mood is. And sometimes at the beginning of the class, this I got from actually theatre professionals. I did a workshop with theatre professionals for teaching theatre to children. They had a lovely workshop like this, like a mood chart. And how many of us have a mood chart when we dance? We just assume
You're
like
happy.
you have this pasted smile on your face and you start dancing. But then that mood somewhere festers and becomes a block in your body and doesn't allow you to practice. And as you age, it shows up more and more and more and more. We have all discovered that.
Yes.
So I feel you must bring your current emotional state to your practice. All these emotions that you're holding, that you need to let out to find some sense of lightness.
It's like a venting out, allowing it to just flow.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you at this point about Beej. Beej is something that you founded many, many years ago, and I know you have a vision for Beej. So, you want to share something about what is your vision for Beej? Where do you see it going?
I see Beej as an ecosystem. Beej as a place where you can immerse, because there are many spaces for dance, but there are some spaces that when you enter the room itself, it creates the condition for emotion. So Beej is not a place of perfection and productivity. It is a place where you immerse. It's a place where we have a thing called the Beej garage, where you take parts of your practice apart and put it back, reconfigure it in different ways. We speak about issues around us. It's very important to have conversations.
Absolutely.
Conversations on disability, conversations, and this has everything that I'm telling you has come from experience. I had a 14-year-old child who was injured doing the rigorous Katthak that we were doing, and I said, I'm doing something wrong. So it's been from my own experiences, like I was like, how could I let a 14-year-old be injured? And people say there are some who take to it who are natural dancers and some who can't. And she was a beautifully sincere dancer. So I said, I need to change my approach to Riyaz to accommodate different bodies.
Yeah.
And to accommodate. So Beach doesn't see a performer as the only way that a body can go. You can be a researcher, you can be a healer, you can be a nutritionist, you can whatever ways, and my students have gone in all these different ways.
You were telling me about it the other
day. Like one of my students is studying law, but dance informs her study of law, and in fact she did a paper on the Devadasi bill. Another one of my students is in drama therapy, and she's doing psychology and movement and the body and emotions, because these are subjects that are now coming up. So people have a lot of options where they can take their dance.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a space where everyone is welcome as they are, and then different people bring different insights into the same process. But also dance history I wanted to speak about.
Please.
It's like, what is dance history? Is it something you read about in a book? Or is dance history present in your body? So one of my students asked me a question, Didi, where does dance history end? Beautiful question, right? So I said, it doesn't end. It's you're making history right now in your dancing body. Whenever you hold a mudra, this mudra signifies every other person who held this mudra from the time, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It has the resonance of the Jamuna and the sound of the water. It has a certain bend, it has a certain ebb, it's alive. So when you can feel history in your body right now, and you can feel the history of the past, the Kathakars, that's where Kathak started. Then you have that elegance of the Mughals, where it's become sculpturesque, and you're like, the whole ethos of the Darbar. So how you'll stand when you're the most beautiful Begum who enters and does the salami, so the language of the Persian language will do something different to your form. The Brij Bhasha language will do something different to your body. So all these languages of history that have seeped into the form, and then during the British age it became a dance of violence and resistance. So that whole bitterness of the violence of dance history will also be part of your body. And then when you dance now, you're holding all these strains together and saying, here I am, imperfect, flawed, holding this history in my body, and this is my dance. And this is my dance at present. Like for example, recently I performed at Hyderabad on November 3rd, I think, at a conference. A law college had invited me, and it was a conference on cooperation, contentment, and care. And I think these three words are so important for me when it comes to Riyaz also, because it's all about cooperation. It's about us moving together to be our best versions. How can I push Prachi? Okay, I can tell her this. Oh, she can tell me this. Because she'll see something in my dance that I cannot. Contentment. You have to be absolutely at ease. Ease is also another word that I use very much. Dance easy. Don't work hard. Work easy. Otherwise the dance will not flow. And care. The last one thing I wanted to talk about is metaphor. My metaphors draw from poems. And I have been a collector of poems, especially bhakti poems across languages. And there are so many wisdoms. There are so many wisdoms we can gather from the poems that inform our riyaz, that inform our dancing bodies. For example, ye tan thaat tambure ka. Ye tan, this body. Thaat, stance. All dance terms. Tambure ka, like a tambura. One
Right
curved
behind
line. Tambura. So one curved straight line, one curved line. Echat tar marorat khunti. You pull the string and tune it. Nikasat sur huzure ka. And this is experiential. You tune it right and the music is divine. But toote tar. And that's inevitable.
Has to happen.
Every string breaks even in the tambura. टूटे तार बिखर गई खूंटी हो गया धूर मधुरे का. This same sweetness turns to dust when the string breaks. कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो अगम पंथ एक सूरे का. It is a अगम जिस पे कोई गया नहीं है. An untrodden path that only a sure person, only a brave, valorous person will tread, because you have to start from zero every time. That's my definition of Riyaz. कि वो ट्यून करो, बिखर जाओ कभी कभी. Like you won't last for 2 minutes and you'll sit there bawling, and that's your Riyaz. Sometimes you have like an absolute attunement, and then you will experience and discover the world in 30 minutes. You know, so this idea of time also is so mellifluous. No? Actually, we are, as dancers, we are privileged to be able to stretch time. We can contract time, we can expand time, we can bend time for ourselves and the audience. So can we do it consciously, and can we do it in our Riyaz? That's the playground, you know, where you can try out so many different things. You can stay with one movement and see how it changes, you know. ये मैं कैसे bend कर सकती हूँ? अभी क्या हो रहा है? Now I'm doing the movement with my back. Now I'm doing the movement with my imagination. Now I'm doing the movement with my emotion. And it changes. You know, so each thing, like every impetus that you put on one single movement will alter it, and it will alter you. Who are you? I'm talking about the witness, the compassionate.
Coming back, you completed the cycle. You've articulated this entire idea so beautifully that I think we will need some time to really assimilate this. But we have a new segment that we've added, which is questions from our viewers. This time we invited some of our viewers to ask certain questions, and we have one question which comes from Maria. She says that she's getting back to dance after 14 years and is struggling with stamina and wishes to know from you how she can work on that.
Hi Maria. Firstly, I'm very, very happy that you're getting back to dance after 14 years.
Yes, it's quite an inspirational thing, I must say.
Yeah, but there's one is don't be attached to the earlier version of yourself. You are not that version. You have now expanded your consciousness, you have so many other things have happened in your life. So show up as you are. Don't hold on to an earlier version of yourself when you walk into your studio. Second is, yeah, actually, I would say with start where you are, start with your body, prepare your body slowly. You can listen to dance music, you can go and watch performances. There's nothing more inspiring than watching people that you love perform. So, allow that to open up things in your body. And then, when you start your riyaz, be compassionate. Don't start with a 2-hour Riyaz class immediately. Work with it. Start with 10 minutes a day. And always ask, how is my body feeling? What can I do? And believe me, I have students who start dancing, like right now I have some 50-year-old students. Their progress is exponentially, like it just grows because they're there for the passion. And always in your Riyaz session, ask how is my spine feeling, because the first thing that we all like to beat up is our back and our spine. So we say no, we will not give up. So develop your leg muscles. I would say do alternative exercises for strengthening and flexibility of the legs. Once the legs are solid, your spine can be allowed to move, because otherwise if the legs don't have strength, we catch the spine like this because the legs are floppy. So I would say strengthen your legs and always ask in the middle of the session, how is my spine feeling? And if any part of the spine is constricted or in pain, stop, stretch and get back. The idea of that whole 2 hours is not just 2 hours. Sometimes just visualizing yourself dancing is enough.
Wow. And now we come to the rapid fire round. Are you excited?
I wouldn't say
yes. So before you think too much, I'm going to just start asking. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite raga?
Right now it's Jai Javanti.
Dawn or dusk?
Dusk.
Do you snore?
A lot. Apparently, my flatmate in London used to think that the person upstairs snored, and she used to constantly be cribbing, I need to really talk to these people, and we didn't know them. And then in the 6 months down the line, she realized it's me. Because I abandoned you? No, I used to be dancing from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Laban, and when you're doing that kind of dance per day, you come back and you snore. You have to just let yourself snore. It's not like it's voluntary.
Yeah, it just happens. It's okay. Yes. Okay, your favorite poet?
Gosh, that's not fair.
Okay, one out of the hundreds that
Kabir, of course.
Okay, yes. A book you have reread.
And Entuzake Shange. I can't. Both I spoke about.
Both you spoke about. Okay. A book you have reread multiple times. Like
several books.
One that is at the top of your head.
One book that I keep, one of my favorite childhood books is Heidi. I must have done Riyaz on reading the Heidi book. I must have read it almost 100 times.
Wow.
Every day I used to come back, eat cheese and read Heidi again and again.
A mythological character you'd like to explore?
Like to explore? There are many, yaar.
Anyone.
But I think mythological characters derail your life. So I would be a little
wary of them.
Wary of them, because Gandhari totally changed my life. Putana totally changed my life. Yes. So I would tread. I think the character will call out to me. Okay. I can't tell you now.
You're not being choosy about it.
No.
Okay. One excuse that students give when they miss a class that irks you the most?
Actually, I don't notice that they miss a class. Whoever is there, I work with them.
Okay. Then If you had the opportunity to meet Entozake Shange, what would you have asked her? I know you almost did, but if you had that meeting, what is the first thing you would have asked her?
I would have just like fallen at her feet in gratitude because of the kind of work she did. Like her work speaks for itself. It's so fine tuned, it's so refined, and she gave us a text that, you know, so many women, like someone from India in her 20s found that poem and became a Kathak dancer. So you know, when work is like this, it's kind of universal, and especially work that empowers women is something very, very close to my heart. So I would just be like this, I would say.
Your biggest fear?
I don't think I'm answering any of your questions.
I like the way she's making this a Vilambit fire. It's not a rapid fire anymore. It's a Vilambit fire.
I was just thinking of the last two questions and I said I didn't answer them. I said something altogether different.
But it's fun. Your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, like many fears. My biggest fears is my loved ones leaving me.
Best piece of advice you ever received?
Best piece of advice I ever received, again, have been many, but I come back to Navtej: show up as you are.
Fantastic.
My feedback for my students is, if you show up, I don't care how you dance, how refined your dance is, if you're showing up, if you're regularly coming, that's my idea of an immersed artist, because immersion is the only way to gauge art. Be yourself, there is no hurry. Be kind to yourself and hone a compassionate gaze, because that's going to help you in your path wherever you go in life.
And I'm compassionately looking towards you because you are so amazing. Thank you.
When one uses the word secret, one feels it's something that should not be shared. It should be guarded. But why should knowledge such as this be guarded and not shared? If shared, it will only result in making better and more dedicated artists, and that, in turn, will only benefit the art. We are fortunate to have such artists in the series Raaz Riyaaz Ka, who are breaking the notion of their Riyaaz being a Raaz.
राज रियाज का